Hey there, welcome back to Hot Soil Cool Roots. And before we get into my nerdiness, I've made a decision. So I have this Chimayo melon vine and this big basil that is bolting. I had planned on leaving this vine in to see if I can get this melon to ripen before it gets too cold. But I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and pull this vine as well as the basil because I need this bed for fall planting. So since this melon really isn't getting much bigger, and I have another one down here that again is not growing very big, so they've kind of stopped growing. So I decided that I'm gonna pull them. So I'll take this. I'm really sad about it because this is my very first melon that I've ever grown, and it's kind of heartbreaking, but you know, it is what it is. It's all part of gardening. And I think that I'm gonna chop this up and throw it in the compost, but I'm really curious to see what it looks like inside. So more to come. All right, now let me show you why I'm a nerd. All right, so this is my fall garden layout. It's obviously not exact, but it gives me a good idea of what I'm gonna plant and where. And I'm gonna change my mind a couple hundred times, as I've already done since I printed this, so yeah. Anyway, it helps because otherwise I would forget what I'm planting and where I'm planting. And then I have my binder of seeds. So I'm going to pull out the ones that I'm planting. Okay, so we've got some scarlet nantes, I don't know how you say that, whatever. Some tender sweet. Woo woo. And then I have some dragon carrots, which I've never tried. They're beautiful, so I'm excited. All right. We've got, what else do we have here? I have this lettuce mix that I get from Botanical Interest every time I order, so I'm gonna throw that in and see what I can get from it. I have some arugula, and let's see, where else am I going? Swiss chard. I decided that this year I'm planting everything from seed. Last year I used several starts, which was fine. They did great. However, this year I like I said, I'm doing everything from seed. So we've got some dill. Whoop. I've got some cilantro, and I believe that is it for now. I have some other flowers that I'm gonna put in, but I'm kind of waiting on those because I'm waiting for broccoli seeds to come in. First time planting those, so we'll see how that goes. Last year I grew broccoli, if I could spit it out. I grew broccoli from starts, and they were beautiful. I had a great harvest, but this year I'm trying seeds, so we'll see what happens. So as I harvest, I'm also saving seeds, so I'm sure this binder is gonna grow quite a bit. I give a lot of seeds away, throw them in with birthday cards or whatever, you know, wildflowers, things like that. A lot of flowers, but anyone interested in gardening, if they want seeds, I've got plenty, so I'm happy to give them away. But yeah, let's get planting. Let's get some herbs in. All right, we're gonna start with this Calypso cilantro. I've never grown cilantro from seed before, so there are gonna be a lot of firsts in my garden this season because, like I said, I've decided I'm planting everything from seed. So we're gonna put some cilantro in here. This is a 20-gallon grow bag, and I can probably fit about 2 or 3 plants in here, I'm guessing, because I would like them to get somewhat big. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in. I've got some compost in here. I'm just gonna kind of throw the seeds in about a 1/4 inch deep or so. Get one over here by the drip. I usually like to plant them pretty close to this pot, so as the water seeps out, they stay nice and moist. But so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna throw another one in there just in case. And instead of covering those up with soil, I'm gonna sprinkle some worm castings on there. And I get my worm castings from the Arizona Worm Farm. Great resource for native gardening or any type of gardening, really. They've got everything you can think of, from soil to mulch, all the nutrients, plants. I mean, it's amazing. If you haven't been there, check it out. So cilantro's in. Next up, we're gonna do, in the next bag over, Swiss chard, and this is a rainbow mix that I actually did grow last year. It was amazing, delicious. And then finally on the end, we've got some dill. So we'll get that put in as well. Off we go. All right, so I've got this rainbow mix of Swiss chard. I have already added compost to my soil and mixed that in. So with this Swiss chard, I can probably get at least 4 decent sized plants in here. So again, I want to plant somewhat close to the pot so that the roots will be as close to that consistent moisture as possible. And I'm going to put in I'm going to drop them all in there, but I'm going to put in a little more than, I should probably use more than one hand to hold these seeds because they're kind of going everywhere. But I'm putting in more seeds than what I'm actually going to grow because I can always thin them out. And as much as I hate to do that, because who wants to pull a perfectly good plant out of the soil? But it has to be done. It's all part of gardening. And I just lost that seed. There we go. Pop that in there. Throw another one over here. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 or 6. Let's go another one. Why not? We're just going to kind of put them everywhere, really. And hopefully the strong will survive. All right, that should do it. And again, I'm going to sprinkle worm castings on these just to give them a nice, good boost of nutrients and a good start here. And this is really really smooth stuff. Like it's not bulky, it's not compact. It's kind of like a soil mix. You know, the seed starter mix that you use for indoor seed starting or whatever you use it for. It's good stuff. It's real easy for plants to pop up. So anyway, those are in, and we are moving over here to dill. So I'm going to go ahead and plant some of these dragon carrots. Look at how beautiful these are, my hand shaking. In here with the Swiss chard, because those will be great companion plants. But I wanted to show you the difficulty in planting carrots. Look at how teeny tiny these seeds are. So I'm going to do my best to keep them somewhat at a decent distance. However, it's fine if, I may end up, I'm probably just going to sprinkle these around. And I'll come back and thin them out later. Again, not something I love to do because who wants to pull a perfectly good plant out of the soil? However, with carrots especially, you really do have to thin them out, because if you want decent sized carrots that you can actually eat, that's what you have to do. Because if they don't have enough room to grow, you're going to get teeny tiny little carrots that may or may not be edible, and that's just the way it goes. So thin your carrots. I learned the hard way last year. I couldn't bring myself to pull those plants out because they were so cute. And yeah, I paid for it. I only had about 4 decent sized carrots that I could actually eat. The rest were a 1/4 inch to less than an inch long. So this year I will be thinning no matter what. All right, you guys, so now that we've got our seeds in, aside from broccoli, I think that's really kind of one of the last things I'm planting. But now that we've got all of our seeds in, I'm gonna go back and I've added a layer of worm castings over all the seeds. And so now I'm gonna add a really thin layer of not compost, but mulch. And especially for the carrots, because in order for them to germinate, that soil has to stay moist. So the mulch will help to keep that soil moist. And I probably, because of our warm days, I'll probably still be hand watering these guys at least once a day, possibly twice, just depends on how the soil's doing. But yeah, that's it, and we're done for the day. And I am gonna pull out some of these bigger chunks. You know, I can't imagine a carrot is gonna be really successful trying to come up underneath that. And that's okay. As I see them start to sprout, I can pull some of this mulch away and give them a little better chance. But I've actually grown carrots in about 1 inch or 2 thick of mulch, and had no problem with them sprouting up. They came up right through all of that. So I'm still gonna put a thin layer. All right, seeds are in, mulch is down. All that's left is watering. All right, fall planting is almost done. Just a few more things and we'll have everything in and ready to grow. Sorry, distracted. The queen butterflies are really, really active today. The last few days they were all over the place. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, I'll see you next time.